But the title is Watch Your Mouth. So I don't know about anybody else, but when I was little, Tyler, you can go ahead and put the scriptures up because we got the scriptures. When I was little, I used to get told to watch my mouth all the time. So when I was little, when I got spankings, I very seldom got a spanking for what I did. Most of the time, it was for what I said. I did not have a problem with obeying, like, do this, don't do that. Didn't have that problem. However, that obedience to what you are and aren't allowed to say as a child got the best of me almost every time. And my mom was what we called a thunder slapper. So she could slap you real fast and real hard. She was so quick, nobody would even see it. Just hold, everything would start ringing. And so I was the recipient of a lot of thunder slaps because it didn't matter who or where. I just said what was ever on my mind. If we were at church, if we were in the grocery store, if we were with my mom's friends, if we weren't allowed to be, probably because my mom never knew what I was going to say, we weren't allowed to be around a lot of people. But I just refused to keep my mouth. If I thought it or felt it, I said it. And it got me in trouble repeatedly. And I kept doing it. So my mother had to get increasingly aggressive with the methods of trying to stop me from doing that. Somewhere in my teens, I learned that I was tired of getting hit and tired of being punished, and I needed to watch my mouth. What I never realized, because it just felt like she was just trying to control me, but what I never realized was watching my mouth was the best thing she could have done for helping me to watch my mouth. Because there are rules in the Bible about what you let come out of your mouth. And when you're a kid, you let all kind of stuff come out your mouth. When you're a teenager, you let all kind of stuff come out of your mouth. When you're an adult, you let all kind of stuff come out of your mouth. And God was telling me this, and I was like, Lord, please don't let me at least forget that part. Why does so much stuff come out of our mouths? Why can't we control our mouths? When I get angry, I just can't even help myself. Well, here's why. Because you don't have control of your emotions, because they run you, you don't control your emotions, you don't control your mouth. Most of the stuff that comes out of your mouth is because of how you feel. Your emotions have, what's the word I'm looking for? Your emotions have basically been the catalyst for a lot of stuff that came out of your mouth. And because you don't control your feelings and your emotions, your mouth runs ragged. So, in Proverbs chapter 18 and 21, and I'm reading from the Amplified Version. I think Ty here is the King James up. But the Amplified Version says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. And that's what everybody knows. But the second half of that says, and those who love it and indulge in it will eat its fruit and bear the consequences of their words. You can't just say anything. And sometimes things that happen to me, I can think back. Things that have happened to me in my adult life, I spoke it as a child. When I got upset, I just let just anything come out of my mouth. And as a kid, man, I inherited, my mother's side of the family has very lethal mouths. They're very poisonous. They didn't use a lot of profanity, but they were just vindictive with their mouths. And I inherited that. But the problem was, when I was upset, I was vindictive in any direction. I spoke curses this way, that way, this way, that way, towards anybody. Because I didn't understand and had no regard for where my words were going or what they were doing. And everyone says death and life isn't, or the power of death and life, and that's not even how the scripture says. It says death and life are in the power of the tongue. But the second half of that verse says, basically, people who like to talk a lot need to watch themselves because they're going to have to live or to eat basically they're going to have to pay for every word that they say. When I read this, I was like, y'all gonna say, what's wrong? Let me tell y'all now. I'm about to stop talking a whole lot, and nothing is wrong with First Lady, but I didn't already put enough out there that I have to answer for. I'm gonna kind of tone it down a little bit. Matthew 12:36 through 37, and I don't know what the easy to read version is. I think it's ERV, but this is the easy to read version. It says, I tell you that everyone will have to answer for all the careless things they have said. This will happen on the day of judgment. Your words will be used to judge you. What you have said will show whether you are right or whether you are guilty. When I read that, I was like, oh, God. Just thinking back on some of the things that I have said, because, some people think things. I didn't just think it. I absolutely said it. And to think about having to answer for all the things that I have said. And not just to people. When I get frustrated, I'm so sick of it. I just want to die. I can't do this anymore. I can't take it. I'm not as strong as everybody thinks I am. And then I'm kind of wondering, why is this so hard for me? Why am I struggling with this? Why do I feel so weak? I literally spoke it on myself. And now I have to live with the consequences of saying, I'm just so weak, I can't do this and I can't take this. I'm done with this. Well, you know why you're struggling with your relationship? Because you literally out of your mouth spoke that you're done. So that's sitting right there in your relationship. I'm done with you. You can't just go back and act like you didn't say that, because those words are still sitting there. And so the ESV said every careless word. And it kept coming back to me that the careless words and your emotions go hand in hand. And then God was just talking to me about how emotional everybody is. I'm like, is there any emotionally stable people in the world? Everybody's emotionally unstable. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody has apprehensions. Everybody has depression. I'm like, is anybody emotionally stable? There's stuff coming out of people's mouths that I literally think to myself, did you think before you said that? And then they double down and back it up and argue the point. I am a pony. Here's why I'm a pony. But it's an emotional thing. I feel like a pony. See, because if you talk to them, then they say, because I feel like a pony. I feel like a failure. I feel like a disappointment. I feel like a burden. So I speak like a failure. I speak like a disappointment. I speak like a burden. And I speak that stuff into my life, but not just into my life. Because what affects me doesn't just affect me. It affects my husband. It affects my children. It affects my siblings. It affects my church family, because we're all one body. God was really just showing me some things. In the Old Testament, when someone sinned, when Achan sinned, I don't know if you guys know the story of Achan, but when Achan sinned, God didn't say he sinned. He said the nation of Israel sinned. One person took something. It wasn't even his family. It was just him. But God said the nation has sinned. So when I speak recklessly, I am not only affecting me, I am not only affecting my house, I'm not only affecting Joy Tabernacle, but I am affecting the body that I am connected to. I got to be careful and watch my mouth. I got to be careful and watch. I'm so sick of all these pastors. Keep your mouth, keep your mouth, keep your mouth. If you can't pray about it, shut up about it. If you're not going to pray about it, my mom used to say, if you don't have nothing good to say, she probably was like, you never listen because you don't never have nothing good to say and you always letting something come out of your mouth. But I should have learned. If I don't have anything good to say, I should say nothing. If I don't have anything positive and uplifting and encouraging to say, then I should say nothing. Because guess what? I can correct you in a way that is encouraging and uplifting. I can chastise in a way. See, we've made it seem like chastisement and discipline were all a negative thing and it's all a bad thing, but it actually can be, when it's done right, it can be uplifting and encouraging. So, man, I was like, sheesh, Lord, I this is so much bigger than just us. So, in James 3, we're going to read Proverbs 21 and 23. And it says, whosoever keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. And that just goes to what I've already said. Don't speak. The Bible says that a man's days are full of troubles already. Why would you speak more trouble into your life? In frustration. Why would you let the enemy get you so frustrated that you speak more problems into your own life? That's like getting mad and keying your own car. So mad he treated me like this. I just need a mess and key your own car. Who would do that? But we do it all the time with our lives. I'm so frustrated. I'm so aggravated that I let something come out of my mouth that I can't take back. And the enemy grabs it, uses it, and Pastor talks about authority all the time. A lot of things that happen in our life, we gave the enemy authority to do it because of what we spoke. Because we were careless with our mouths. James 3, 5 through 16. We're going to do a lot of reading because all I had was scriptures I told y'all. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. So basically what it's saying is, most fires don't start out huge. They start out from something small, like a spark. Forest fires start from an ember that drifted. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body. And this isn't just talking about your physical body. This is talking about the body of Christ. Because my tongue doesn't just affect my body. It affects the body. And when it talks about the tongue is a fire, a lot of people use their mouth to start stuff. And it's usually not a good thing. And setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. And when it said it is set on fire of hell, I was like, what does that mean? All it means is basically that fire that it sets comes from the enemy. It is influenced by the enemy to set this fire. And we know that a fire utterly destroys. It completely changes. You cannot set anything on fire and it is exactly the same. Fire changes the chemical makeup of things. It changes the appearance of it. It changes the stability of it. And so does our mouths. Well, our mouths don't change the chemical makeup of things, but you can physically affect someone's continence with your mouth. You can affect someone's stability with your mouth. And then when you're not mad anymore, oh, I didn't mean it. But you can't take back the damage. I can't go back and unlight the fire and put my furniture back together. Justin set my dining room table on fire. There was no repairing it. I couldn't go back and unburn it. And there's no such thing. And we are like, well, I apologize. I said I was sorry. He said he was sorry, but my table was still burnt. You can clean up the residue of the smoke, but what is burnt is burnt. What you damage is damaged. And then God has to come in and do some healing and some fixing and some cleaning. Because there are some things that we say with our mouths that only God can heal. You can say, I'm sorry till the end of time. But you cut a wound that was deep. And only God can heal it. If the person is willing to allow it. Some people are wounded so deep They want that thing so they can stay mad at you and keep their distance from you. They want to stay hurt so that they can always remember never to let you in again. It's a sad thing, and it's usually because of something you said. Most rifts aren't because of something that was done. Most of them are from something that was said. Verse 7. We're in James chapter 3, verse 7. For every kind of beast, and of bird, and of serpent, and of things in the sea is tamed, and hath been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is unruly, evil, full of the deadly poison. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we man, which are made after the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceeded blessings and cursings. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Doth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter water? Can a fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh water. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his work with meekness of wisdom. You want to know how smart you are? Be smart enough to be quiet. I've always said this. If you have to tell me how smart you are, you're not as smart as you think you are. And if you understand what your mouth does, be smart enough to be quiet. He's saying, show your wisdom through your meekness. You don't always have to answer. So, I'm mad at you. You say something to me I don't like. You got to answer for those words. So, I'm going to let you draw me into it. I'm going to say something that now I have to answer for. No, you going down this road by yourself. You can say whatever you want. I don't have nothing to say. God knows the truth. I know the truth. And I don't really care. Because I can't afford to answer you in my feelings. And let's face it, most of the time when we want to answer people, we're in our feelings. How dare you say that about me? Who do you think I am? Who do you think you are? And now it's on. Y'all think I'm kidding. In the grocery store, on the store, people getting out of their cars on the street because they can't control their emotions and they can't control their mouths. They going into all-out brawls, shooting and stabbing each other over something somebody said out their mouth. But because they can't control their feelings and their emotions, they don't control their mouths. 14, but if ye have bitter envy and strife in your heart, glory not, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. There's not a whole litany of emotions. There's jealousy, envy, anger. There's not a whole litany. They all go together. There's only just a few. But most of those emotions, they don't work towards the kingdom. This isn't God's work. In those emotions, you can't do his work. So, like Tylen said, you do the work of your Father. So, your mouth tells you whose child you are. It's a signifying marker. What comes out of your mouth? Not at church, not when you're the church lady or the brother in the church or, oh, I know you go to church, but when you're upset, when the rubber meets the road, when you're scared. Let's face it, I done heard some stuff out of people who got scared. You want to see who's really church and who's not? Let something happen in the church. The first thing that come out of people's mouth may shock you. But it tells you who you are. It tells you who you are. If you about to get in an accident and Jesus or oh Lord doesn't come out of your mouth, but an expletive does, you got some work to do. I was thinking about, I used to watch Candace Owens, and she kept saying something over and over and over again. Words have meaning. This time that we're living in now, they're trying to make it where words don't have meaning, but no matter what you do to it, words still have meaning. You can change the female dog word into something where, oh, we just call each other that, but it still has meaning. And so people still have all this anger and animosity is because we're trying to turn something negative into something positive. But because words have meaning, no matter what you try to intend it to be, words have meaning. And you don't get to define what that meaning is. So you can use it however you want, but when it comes out of your mouth, it still delivers with its actual meaning, no matter what you say or how you say it or who tries to take words and make it something else. Words have meaning. Be careful the words you let come out of your mouth. We're almost done. We're going to do a lot of reading in Genesis, but I'm going to read really, really fast because we got a lot of reading to do. So we're going to Genesis chapter 29, verses 18 through 30. Was I sitting on the couch? I was sitting somewhere, and God was talking to me about the Jacob and Rachel story. And it wasn't that because I remember Pastor said Leah was the less pretty one because she had dim eyes or weak eyes, and she wasn't favorable to look upon. We're not talking about that. So this is after we discovered that Leah's not the pretty one. Genesis 20. Okay, she's not the favorable one. She's not the favorable one. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than I should have her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. And they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had for her. He was like, yes, I'm out here feeding the hogs and wrestling in the cattle and everything. And all he could think was, at the end, I get Rachel. This was nothing. Time was flying by for him because he got to see her every day. And, his mind is just like, 6 more years, 5 more years, 4 more years. He was excited. He was happy to do the work because the prize was worth it to him. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place. Verse 21. Sorry, I skipped one. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. He'd be like, look, man, I've been waiting for this. Give it up. So Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Laban his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. So when it says the evening, their marriage feasts were days. So basically, Laban got Jacob drunk for days. And then he waited till it was dark, and he snuck Leah in darkness. And because Jacob trusted him, he was like, oh, this got to be Rachel. I mean, she feel a little different than I thought maybe she'd feel, but, I can't see her, and I'm half drunk. And he promised me Rachel. So he goes in, and he consummates and marries Leah. And it says, and Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah, his handmaid, for a handmaid, because you couldn't get married without a handmaid. So he made sure she was set. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did I not serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore hast thou beguiled me? So he sobered up, and the beer goggles came off, and he saw that it was not Rachel. And so Laban said, it must not be done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. So Laban's basically saying, you should have known better. I can't let you marry Rachel before Leah gets married. She's older. And Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou hast served with me yet 7 other years. So basically he's saying, I tell you what, you married to Leah, that's yours. This time, I pinky promise that if you work for another 7 years, I'll give you Rachel. And Laban and Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. So what happened was he had to spend a week with Leah, because when you first got married, you had to have like some alone time. So he had to spend his time with Leah first. And he was like, hurry up, because he said, after this, I can have Rachel. So Laban actually gave him Rachel before he worked the 7 years. But he stayed there because he was like, when I get ready to leave, I want to take her with me. And so those next 7 years weren't as pleasant for him as the first ones, because in the first ones, he was super happy. On the second one, he was like, well, I already got her, but I got to work for her. And I got tricked, but she's worth it. This is what he said. He basically said, she's worth it. He worked 14 years to get her. And he went unto Rachel and loved her more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. So Genesis 31, we're going somewhere. Don't worry, it's not just about the love story of poor Jacob and Rachel. So what has happened is Jacob has worked for his father-in-law. His father-in-law has dealt badly with him, has been unjust, and God has turned it in his favor every time. Everything that his father-in-law tried to do against him, God has turned it in his favor. But now he has stayed here, he has worked with him, but something's starting to change. So in verse 1 of Genesis chapter 31, he said, and he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all this glory. So what was happening was, every time that Laban would say, well, he would say, you can have all the spotted cattle. Then all the cattle would start to be spotted. And so then he was like, no, you can have all the ones that aren't spotted. Then all the cattle wouldn't be spotted. God would just keep turning it for Jacob's favor. So now they're starting to talk, and they starting to have feelings about God's favor in his life. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and beheld, it was not toward him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, return unto your land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock. And he said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not towards me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father hath deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. So my point is, he dealt with some harsh treatment because he wanted Rachel. He felt like she was worth it. So we're going to drop down to verse 29 real quick. Laban is now talking to Jacob because they left in the interim. Jacob left because God basically said, you need to get out of there. They left, and Laban is now chasing him because he's like, you just left. You didn't even give me a chance to say goodbye. So Laban has now caught up with Jacob, and he said, it is in the power of my hand to do hurt. But the God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my goods? Basically, he's saying, I get that you felt the need to leave and go back to your father's house, and you feel like you don't need me anymore. But did you have to steal from me after you got all of my cattle? You got everything that I promised you, and you stole from me. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. Because Jacob could feel that they were feeling some kind of way. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren, discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. So when they left, Rachel went into her father's tent and stole his idols. Because Rachel, they served a different God, and her husband was taking her back to his gods. So she wanted her gods so that she could go back and still worship her gods. And Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the two maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent but found them not. And she said to her father, let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of woman is upon me. And he searched but found not the image. So basically, she knew he was looking for it. She hid it and sat on it and told him, it's that time in the month. I can't move. This is what happened. And he respected that, because back then, when a woman had a time in the month, you didn't touch her. And so he looked and he was like, well, okay, I guess y'all didn't take it. I don't know what happened to it, but I looked everywhere and I didn't find it. Genesis 35:16 through 19. So remember, Jacob said, let whomsoever took it not live. This is now officially 10 years later. Genesis 35 is 10 years from when Jacob spoke those words. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrath. And Rachel travaileth, and she had hard labor. And it came to pass, when she was in hard labor, that the midwife said unto her, fear not, thou shalt have this son also. And it came to pass, as her soul was departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni. But his father called him Benjamin. And Rachel died and was buried in the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. He spoke it, and so it had to be performed. He said, let whoever take it. This man worked 14 years for this woman, and he got 10 back with her. He worked 14 years for her. He loved her, but she died because he said, let him not live. Of course, if he would have known she took it, he would have been like, look, just give him his stuff back. Because I love you. I've been through. Not only did he work 14 years, he put up with terrible treatment. Anything Laban could think to do to destroy him, he tried it. And Jacob put up with it because he said, this is her father, and I have to put up with whatever he does, because this daughter is his property, and I can't fully take possession of his property until I have worked out this contract. So in the contract, it didn't say you only have to work 7 more years if I'm nice to you or if you prosper. It just said you have to work 7 more years. So he had to put up with whatever to get Rachel. And he did. But unbeknownst to her, he didn't understand who he married. He didn't understand who she was. And so he spoke something out of his mouth, not understanding who he was dealing with, that he was a trickster and he married a trickster. And so he did all of that to lose her 10 years later. There is power in what you speak. And he didn't speak it out of hatred. He spoke it to be honorable and to prove to his father-in-law that he was serious. We really don't have it. If somebody took it, let them die. We don't have it. But guess what? Just because he spoke out of ignorance, it didn't change what had to happen because he spoke it. Now, you could say, oh, well, women die in childbirth all the time. Yes, but all the rest of his baby mamas were still alive. He had children with Leah's handmaiden, Rachel's handmaiden, Leah. They were all still alive and fine. Watch your mouth. Last scripture, Job 13:15. And this God gave to me this morning. And it's what he keeps saying to me. A lot of stuff is going on in our life right now. And Job, more than anyone else in the Bible other than Jesus Christ himself, we would say he would have been justified in complaining. You lost all your stuff, all your kids, Your friends are making fun of you, and then your wife, who you had these 7 kids with, is making fun of you in your face. And she told him, curse God and die. Just go ahead and die. Put yourself out of your misery. Go ahead and curse God and let him kill you. And Job said, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. But I will maintain mine own ways before him. Job wasn't talking to God. Why would he say, though he slay me, if he was talking to God? He was talking to others and he was talking to himself. Because just like you can speak negativity to yourself, you can, what does the Bible say? David encouraged himself. The world, the atmosphere that we're in is not encouraging. It's not loving. It's not uplifting. It's just giving the facade of that, because most of the agendas they're pushing are not encouraging and they bring misery. Encouraging a woman to do it on her own brings misery at the end of her life when she's dying alone. In the midst of his misery, Job said, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. And it says, I will maintain my own ways before him. I'm going to keep serving him. I'm going to keep praising him. I'm going to keep loving him. I'm going to keep seeing him as a great God. It's not even going to change how I see God. And in the whole book of Job, he complained about his birth. He complained about a lot of things, but he kept his mouth from complaining about God. And even, that's the funny thing, even he was complaining about his circumstance, and God was like, who are you? Were you there when I created the Leviathan? What are you complaining about? So Job gathered himself together and he said, though he slay me, yet will I trust him, and I won't change what I do. I won't change how I serve him. I won't stop praising him. I won't stop living a life that's pleasing unto him. Job did not know that he was going through this because God found him worthy to suffer. All he knew was everybody was dead. All his stuff was gone. And he had 3 servants, because the servants kept coming back and saying, I was 3 of them. He had 3 servants that survived. And a wife that was just. But in the midst of that, he said, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Yet will I serve him. Yet will I praise him. Yet will I honor him with my life and my words. Yet will I love him. Because regardless what I'm going through, I understand that he loves me no matter what it looks like. The enemy wants to think that he doesn't love me because of my current situation, or because of my current circumstance, or because it's been going on so long, or because the doctor said there's no cure, or because they said it's never going to change. But I understand that regardless of all of that, he loves me. So I will trust him. He's with me. So I will trust him. So when I'm discouraged, when I'm frustrated, I should say to myself, lo, I am with you always, even until the ends of the earth. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. I go to the doctor, get the report. Thank you very much. I heard what you said. Lord, though you slay me, yet will I trust you. We got to speak to ourselves. We're always speaking to other people. We're always talking to other people. We're always telling everybody else how we feel about them and what's wrong with them and how to fix them. And we trying to encourage other people. It's not always negative, but we always trying to encourage other people. But the first person you need to encourage, the first mask you need to put on when you're in the airplane is your own. Encourage yourself. Nothing can separate me from his love. Get in the word. Let it become life to you. And we say that all the time. Let it become life. Let it become life. But you know how you know when it becomes life? When what comes out of your mouth mimics what's written in the word. When what comes out of your mouth mimics what's written in the word. When you can control your tongue. The Bible in James, what it was talking about was how much damage a tongue can do. And it uses fire because fire damage can't be fixed. by man. Let me just say that. It can't be fixed by man. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Don't murmur. Don't complain. Don't speak in frustration. Don't speak in anger. I was thinking about when Pastor and I were going through the roughage of our marriage. And we would just, he didn't say anything, and I would say way too much. And I can look back and see where some of the difficulties that we faced in our marriage came directly from stuff that I said out of frustration and anger. I'm frustrated about how you're acting. I'm frustrated about how you're treating me. I don't want you anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. Then God had to help me to overcome that, because that thing became embedded in me and our relationship struggled. Because I spoke that I didn't want to be here anymore, and I responded, I don't want to be here anymore. But God had a plan and a purpose. So I had to stay there. And he had to heal me and help me to get past and get over and to fix what I had burned with my mouth. There are some things I remember even with Nani. Some days are frustrating. Some days I just do not. I told Pastor, I said, do you understand every morning my day starts with a diaper? Every morning. For 17 years. In my feelings and my emotions, because what I forgot was God blessed me with a daughter. Whatever state she's in, he blessed me with a daughter who brings me joy, who gives me difficulty, who, you guys know my daughter. You never know what you're going to get from her. She could smile at you. She could roll her eyes. She could turn her face and act like I am not engaging with you at all. She can make you laugh when you're angry and frustrated, or she give you that smile like, I know. And yet, because sometimes I'm tired, I'm complaining about the blessing that God gave me, because it didn't come like I expected it to come. When I found out I was pregnant with a daughter, I was all excited. But she's no less a blessing. And so I have no right to put my mouth on her or her situation, because God gave her to me in the situation that she's in, because that's how he wanted me to have her. Until he changed it. And I don't have the right to put my mouth on that situation that God allowed. Because what I'm saying is, God, you don't know what you're doing. You made a mistake here. This isn't right. Every time I complain, I'm saying, God, you made a mistake. You don't understand. God, I don't think that you meant this for me. When I complain, I'm saying, God, you may have control of a lot of things, but I don't think you have control right here. When I'm complaining, I'm saying, God, you may have plans for me, but your plans have failed, because look at this. So I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praise shall continually be in my mouth, no matter how I feel. I can be angry, I can be frustrated, but I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praise shall continually be in my mouth. And if I have to say it from the time I get up until the time I go to bed, that will be the only thing I let come out of my mouth. Because I can't afford to speak anything else that I have to answer for. So I leave you with this. No matter what happens, sometimes it's hard to remember that God knows, that God sees, that it's in his control. And he keeps reminding me, I've been to the end of your life, girlie. I know all that's going to happen, and I've already figured it all out, and it's already worked out. All you got to do is just walk it out. I don't know what you're complaining about, because this is a done deal. I'm there the day you die. I know what happens in between now and then. And sometimes when life is lifing, we forget that God has not gone to sleep. He's not taken a nap. He didn't blink. He didn't go temporarily deaf where he can't hear me. He does not know that I'm here. He's always in control. Even if the situation looks out of control, I serve a God that's never out of control. So because I serve a God who's always in control, I owe it to him to control my mouth and my emotions. I leave you with this. Watch your mouth.